We are in our last episode of our series, That's Not What This Is About. And I'm really excited about this topic. It could be its own series. And hey, maybe it will, Dan. We'll see if people comment. But I really want to talk about money and the proof it makes us feel like it matters. I think that money can affect us instantly. If we get a raise, it feels really validating the minute we get that raise that we've been waiting for. If we have a financial setback, it can feel really personal. And I think that for many people, income carries so much more than just dollars and cents. I
Hmm.
kind of think money has become our proof. It's our proof of our success, it's our proof of being secure, it's our proof of feeling respected. And I think for some people, it might be our proof that we matter based on our income. So I really want to explore this and what's underneath it. So my question for you to start us off with is, if somebody came to you and said, money feels really important to me, what do you think is happening underneath that?
I'm curious how their value is tied to money and why money, which is an external, what is it that's so important? What is the money validating for them
Yeah.
as that deeper experience? Because if it's a symbol of our value and it diminishes, are we then taking that diminishment and saying our value is diminished when the money's out there? Or like you said, when we get a raise, it feels great to get a raise. What's that validating in here?
Yes. And so this whole series, we've been going through three themes. I don't know why that's a tongue twister for me every video. The first theme is money as proof of worth. So what's underneath it? I'm going to challenge that it could be worth. How does money become evidence that we are enough?
Oh God, that's such a loaded question.
It
There,
is.
there's that. There's the trope that floats around in the coaches coaching other coaches space around the 6 and 7 and 8 figure deals. So like you can have, and of course, all of us as entrepreneurs desire that because it's a validation of success. Yet, one of the things that gets talked about as the trope in all of those conversations is your bank account is a symbol of your worth, and that you'll earn what you think about yourself. But then that can also get turned around as if our bank account's low, that must mean our self-worth is low. But the money, what the next level of that conversation is, the money is the lagging indicator. It comes later once we establish our value, we do our work, and then it flows in later, just like the raise when you're working for somebody else. You go in, you're given a certain salary or commission structure or whatever to be there, but as you prove your worth, you get a raise. Same thing happens here, that we raise our
Mm.
rates or do other things.
Mhm.
It, it's like show up for the job you want, not the job you have, and eventually those lagging indicators, if the people you work for appreciate you, will come up. So the money always follows. The sense of value of self-worth has to come first.
So I'm going to challenge that in a moment a little bit, play
Mhm.
with that. Yeah, I think that financial successes, it's also unconsciously linked to our identity and our worth, which is what you've just talked about. But I want to talk about a little bit the job. I mean, that's not our topic today, so I don't want to get too off base.
Mhm.
But you see, I have an issue where you get hired, you prove your worth, and now you get money for it. I don't think I should have to prove the worth you hired me for. I should have been hired for that worth. And because of that worth, you pay me what I'm valued at. But you're
Mhm.
right. There is something in you have to prove your worth to get more money. And there's something linked there with, I think, if we work for ourselves, right? Like I have to prove that I can do this job to then think I can make this amount of money. So even
Mhm.
if we are saying to ourselves, hey, my financial success isn't linked to my identity or my worth, corporate work, jobs in the world, or jobs at least in the West, I mean, they are putting it on our worth and value. I mean, to some degree, are they
Mhm.
not?
Or they're putting it on their sense of our ability to solve their problem. Because really, when we're going into that role, we are solving a problem for the organization because
Yeah, pay
somebody's
me
not
for the
doing it.
outcome. Pay me
Yeah,
for
pay
my
me for the.
outcome.
Yep.
But people aren't doing that. And I think there is something conditioned in us in the West where I've got to keep proving that I'm worth something till you finally respect me. And it's like, but really, if you hired me to give you an outcome and I give it to you, that should be good enough.
Hmm.
And definitely
Yep.
with women. I mean, I don't want to get into this is really a series, but even for women, I think women have been specifically taught you have to prove your worth to get paid. You can't
Hmm.
just show up and demand. Like it's a completely different thing. I'm just, as you were saying all that, it makes me think like, I wonder how much of all that is playing into our actual proof of identity and the proof that money matters.
There's a lot of indoctrination and it eventually settles into each of us as individuals, but there's a lot going on in the culture that creates some of that of who do we who do we think we're allowed to be, who are we, all of it, and what are we worthy of receiving, what do we deserve to receive, that all gets in some way shape or form at least formed to a degree and somewhat indoctrinated
Yeah.
into, and but then money becomes the thing because it's there, it's how we maintain a lifestyle, it's how we feed ourselves, how we put shelter over our heads.
So, on that note, let's go to the second theme, which is money as proof of safety. So, a lot of people use, hey, money equals safety. Why can money feel like a measure of security rather than simply a resource?
I think just for those exact reasons, it provides us the ability to pay for meals, to put shelter and clothing over ourselves, to protect ourselves at that level of survival at the very baseline. Um, that feels like safety. To or even to look at a number in a bank account and know if something were to happen, there's a nest egg
Hmm.
that I don't have to fall backwards. So yeah, it does kind of create a sense of safety that in the world and all the unknowns, at least I know I have this.
Yeah, true or false, either way it can create it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think the more money you have, I think for some people, they do feel it's sort of like in the old days, you had um, very old, you had your village and then the wall, there was a wall that was built to protect the village, right? You'd come inside. And so the higher the wall, the more you were protected. And I feel for maybe many people, the more money they have, right? The higher their wall is, the more that maybe they're protected or they feel like they are.
Mm-hmm.
But that could be another video again. I mean, it's not going to protect you from your health. It's not going to protect you from, losing a job. I mean, there's so many things. I think you might subconsciously think you are safe, but in the long
Mm-hmm.
term, how safe are you, right? Because anything could happen. But that's another
Yep.
video. I think in this concept, it is safe because yes, at the basic level of survival, being fed, having clothes, we do feel protected. We feel like there's some safety there.
And one of the other things that's a little bit of the expansion on safety is I've heard so many people over the years, whether it's in a session or outside of a session in a conversation, like whether it's around a job or whether it's around just the idea of money, I need it to live. I need the money to live. And it's like, no, you don't. You want the money to maintain a lifestyle. And that's a different thing than living. And
Mhm.
sometimes that's a hard call out to make because you were born with none. Whether you die with it or not is this different story, but you don't need it to live. The act of living just requires food and air and water.
Yeah, that
It's a
touches
very
on,
different thing.
it is. Yeah, that reminds me of the book by Lynn Twist, The Soul of Money. If people haven't
Mm-hmm.
picked that up, pick it up. She
Awesome.
believes
Awesome book.
ecology over economy. If we can take care of our take care of our farms, take care of our land, right? Then economy will follow. And so we're focused on economy
Mm-hmm.
that then it creates ecology, but it should be the opposite. And there is something there, right? Like if you could just be focused on being the healthiest person, then money will be easier for you to get. Then I just have to make money to live.
Yeah.
That's a hard way to do it when you don't feel good and you're sick. And
Mm-hmm. And it becomes
that
that
brings
chase. Yep.
Yeah. So last theme, money as proof of success. How does money become a scoreboard for achievement and significance?
Oh, because I got more than you do. I'll die with more toys.
But there's something about symbolic, like the finance, like, oh, I'm a coach and I make seven figures, eight figures. That's what they're selling, right? Some of these coaches are selling other coaches how to have these practices of eight, seven, eight figures. And it's so it's like, oh, my financial outcome is going to be the verdict of who I am.
Mm-hmm. And then how many when they don't reach that? Because that's a very high echelon.
Especially for one person, yeah. Like
Yeah.
one person practice, yeah.
And there's a couple things that play in there. If one, there's individuals who are selling those programs aren't coaching, they're selling a program about how to get it to an 8-figure thing. That's a different thing than selling coaching, but that's, well, we won't discuss that. But the idea that individuals who buy into those programs, and I certainly have sat in a couple, what is it that we're looking for in the validation of reaching 6, 7, 8 figures that's our desire? What does it say about us? Because we're putting our value in that. And then the other side is, what do we say to ourselves when we don't get there? And here's this dream of 6, 7, 8, and maybe we're floating, and certainly over the course of the journey, there's the ups and downs. If you're sitting in the mid fives going for 6 and you're not there, do you reverse engineer a story of I'm not good enough because I'm not there, rather than knowing I am good enough, I've built this, and I can keep going higher. So it's weird. Are we looking at the gap of where we're not yet and making that our value, or a belief about our value? Or are we looking at where we've come from and what we're building, and that space you were just talking about? I've got it. I'm capable. I'm strong, and allow it to flow to us as the lagging indicator instead of the thing that maybe doesn't exist in this moment. So we're telling ourselves we're not good enough, which then prevents this one from ever happening.
Yeah, and I think there's for me, I'm hearing I sort of feel like there's two parts. There's what you just mentioned, but I might challenge and say, hey, you could be at a job or career where you're making 100 grand a year. You're making 75 grand a year. Let's, go low.
Hmm?
And you're happy and you're not looking to make more. Does that mean that you aren't successful because you have decided that you are not capped out, but like that you're making what you're making and you're not trying to make more? Does that mean that you're not worthy? Again, it's like, oh, if you're not trying to make more, does that mean then you're not successful? And then there's the other side of people who are trying just in everyday jobs. Like I work with a lot of project managers and they're like, I want to get this next title because that title brings more income. But they're wanting that validation. They're wanting that there's something about going from, 100,000 to 150 or 175 or 200,000 that's going to change their life, they think, right? And it may change it
Hmm?
somewhat financially, but there's a status to it. There's a status to what you make income wise. Um, Even if you don't want to make more, there's a status. Oh, you only make 70. Oh, you only make 50 grand. Like that becomes the status of your success for a lot of people.
Hmm. And it's funny because over the years I've worked with so many people in a similar space. They had the dream of the next level job, whether it was at a different company or within their own. And it's different for everybody, but I would say it's probably about a 50-50 split. As we went through the work, many of them realized they were chasing an external validation that just brought more weight and more busyness. Going back to our previous video, half decided that's what I want, going for it. The other half realized, actually, I don't want to be busier. I don't want all that. I'm really happy where I am right now. And they changed the metric to not be about more money or the next title, but it came back to a sense of enoughness. It's about it personal, and they knew they could always make more money because it was about being in sales. So unlimited, limitless potential. Um,
Yeah.
and what they decided was, I don't need to go to this next thing. I can do more than, and I'm already earning this, and I can make more without additional responsibility and title. That was just this mythical thing that they were chasing.
Yeah, I think as we begin wrapping up this video, the real issue isn't always how much we have. It's what do we believe money is about for us? Or what is money proving about us? And I think that's a good question to ask ourselves. Like what do we believe money is proving for us and about us? Um, because making the money isn't always what's most important. It's the significance, it's the security, it's the status for some of us. Yeah.
And I take it to one level beyond that, that's where I think about things. Why are we letting an idea that shows up in a piece of paper? Because money is just an idea. Why are we letting an idea affect our ideas about ourselves?
So why are you letting money identify you,
Mm-hmm.
basically? Identify
Yeah.
who your
And
value is, yeah, what your
yeah,
worth
it's a
is.
thing out here. It's a
Yeah.
thing out here that we can put a quantification on. But how is that any different than somebody else's opinion about us that we might be living to? They don't think I'm good enough. Or yet,
Mhm.
here's this other thing. And yeah, it's a piece of paper that has numbers on it. It's just an idea to create a form of exchange so that when we do something together, I can say, I'll give you this much. I see this value in what we're doing, or pay
Well,
250 for a can of Coke. We
well,
see
think
a
about
value,
it.
but it's an idea.
Yeah, but if that's what we do, if we ended up believing that, then there wouldn't be one person that could sell us a program that's going to make us more money, right?
Yep.
No more
Yep. So,
promises of, hey, you want a business that's going to make you $1 million. There will be no more of that because
mhm,
we won't need that to define our success.
yep.
Is it,
You
hey, do
already
I want
have it.
money? Is it money a bad thing? No. Do we like it? Sure. I'm not
Mhm,
saying it like none of that. I'm just saying it's interesting the role it can play for us in
absolutely.
feeling like we matter, proof that we
Yep.
matter. Yeah.
And just the fact that those coaches out there who are buying into those programs, the idea of the desire for a 6 or 7 or 8 figure, if that idea connects to you, it already exists inside of you. It's already the thing that's there for you to create. And how do you then own that it's there for me? I can be that. It's not about the process so much at that point. It's about who are you being to then deliver that value. And then the money is just the lagging indicator of your actions and how you're showing up in the world.
Yeah.
Um,
And I
the
think,
value comes first. Your
yeah.
presentation of value comes first.
Well, you just said something too. I think a lot of these programs are attractive, not to go into these programs, but they're attractive because when we think about having more money, I mean, our topic today is money as proof of success and validation, but having more money, it creates freedom. When I think
Mhm.
about more money, when I think about a bigger paycheck, I think freedom. But if I don't really know what freedom is, and feels like, and looks like, I could have more money and I'm still not going to have freedom because I'm still living the same way. So even to think money's going to create more freedom for me, until I own what freedom looks like and feels like and actually practice it without the money, I'm never going to have the freedom with the money. I'm just going to have more problems and more things going on.
Yeah. This uh, basic manifesting, the state comes first, everything else follows. It's not, I'll be happy when, or not, I'll be free when, free now, release attachment to it. And suddenly it just happens
Yeah.
because we show up in the freedom first. And that creates the outcomes of freedom and the levels of money rather than the constant chase.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here we are in the last episode of this series. And for those of you who've ridden along with us on it, that it's not what's on the surface. This is about getting deeper into conversation and communication. If you're a coach, we've got a program for that. If you're someone who's not a coach, but you're curious about how can I just listen differently and deeper and have deeper human connection, Monselete and I created a short series that's only essentially 3 hours long. So 3 videos of called The Real Demos. And Monselete was the client, I was the coach. It's the same conversation held 3 different ways to get off the surface and down deeper and deeper into the emotions, the understanding, the being, the thoughts about it. Um, so you can get a sense of how to allow a conversation to expand to really be beneficial to the person that you're with,
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for being
to
with
really be
us.
heard. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for being with us. If you like this, subscribe, comment, and we'll see you in the next series.
Yep. Be well.
See ya.